point of the video is to showcase another option instead of Obsidian. And I know Obsidian has a considerable fan base similar to Notion, but this video is only an introduction to an alternative version which helped me a lot. I know Obsidian is enormous and honestly it is a great, excellent software, especially for all these optional plugins. But I would like to open a new opportunity for you which you might not know about. And I'm talking here about Kortex, and it's a new software created by Danko and his team. Kortex is still in beta, so please consider this when using it. And also I will review Kortex, explain the key parts of it and also how it changed my life. And it also is my daily second brain now. So for the structure of this video, so for the instruction in this video, what is Kortex and what not, and how does it actually differentiate with Obsidian? And then we cover the primary features of Kortex, then talk shortly about the pricing at the end, and then the key points and my conclusion. But before that, I'm excited to share something that could transform your life. So on January the 1st, 2025, my 90-day challenge 2 starts. This time it's all about personal growth. So if you have been feeling tired, whether in your career or personal life, this challenge is your opportunity to break free and finally achieve those dreams that are lingering in the back of your mind. What would it feel like to have more free time to spend with your loved ones and break the chains of financial stress and wake up feeling motivated and fulfilled every single day? I know too often we find ourselves in a rut and longing for change but unsure how to make it happen. And that's precisely where I've been in the past, and I had huge visions but I had no idea how to execute on them. So I have been probably at the lowest point in my life, and I don't know if anything will soon top off what just happened. And especially if you follow me for a while now, you actually know why. So I built this free challenge over 4 months of really hard work. And I will share everything I've learned in 5 years of business experience and life to make this happen to you. The challenge is a weekly Sunday newsletter that provides a step-by-step instruction for finding your purpose, becoming happier, and finally start the dream business you've always wanted to start, if you want to build a business. So there's no bullshit, just pure value for 90 days straight. That's why I call it 90-day challenge. Let's make 2025 the best year altogether. More information is in the link below. As you can see here, that is the landing page. So link is down below. And let's kick off this video. First of all, what is Kortex and what not, and how it differentiates from Obsidian. So first of all, Kortex is primarily focusing in writing, storing, and creating ideas. And overall, it's a second brain that works exceptionally well. It is super simple and beginner friendly, and even when people have no idea how to use a second brain. There are also differences. So for example, Kortex does not store any offline data so far. Maybe it will change in the future. They also have no graph like Obsidian have with all of the flying things around, which honestly I don't really need. I don't know if there's any use case for that. Kortex also does not provide any canvas, but I really hope they include it in the future because I often use Milanote for that. And also there are no plugins or DIY functions yet, except for elements, which I will come up later on. Now we're kicking off the primary features. The good thing about the capture feature is when we have this document, for example, which I just opened right here, so we just need to press on the capture feature. I just close all of the information I was providing, so you can see in the background there's a lot of information I was putting in. And yeah, so this is that designating and capturing to the structure. Forget Obsidian to actually exactly this document. And honestly, we can, for example, pretty simply make a specific and organize it to a specific document. This is like, for example, structure to forget Obsidian. What is Kortex? We can also like to specific sources, which I will come up in a few seconds. And this is honestly when we are, for example, on the go, we are on our phones. We get a good idea, and then we can organize it either in the entire capture feature or to specific documents, and then take notes, make hashtags, post ideas, productivity philosophy, whatsoever. And this just should give us a quick way of capturing ideas similar to the para method. We have an inbox. This might be the inbox for most people, or it is the inbox. I also have another inbox with visuals, but that's for another video. And yeah, this is a great feature to not miss any ideas and capture them safely. And then coming to actually one of the biggest things and biggest game changers, especially for me. So for example, here we have the highlight and the library. And this is really maybe Obsidian. I mean, there's definitely integrations in Obsidian and Notion when we are using, for example, Readwise Reader, and then it's connecting to our second brain. But I don't know, but I think you need to make a connection extra in Notion and Obsidian, or maybe install the plugin. But Kortex created this by itself already, and it's a typical feature of it. And for example, here, when we read any book and make any highlights, as I was doing here, The Way of the Superior Man, insanely good book. Recommend this for every man in this world, and also probably woman. And yeah, I've done a lot of highlights, 312, and I actually can search the entire Kortex for this document. So for example, here I press on the Mac, Command and K, and then the search tool opens up, actually exactly like Obsidian. And then we can do open capture and the focus mode, create source, create author, and we can also look for specific situation. Let's type in man. So for example, when I type in man and go into highlights, where I scroll a bit down for that until here, the highlights are, for example, from specific books. So here, when I just type in man, all men are afraid unless they are perfectly free. And then masculine men are attracted to forms of feminine energy whatsoever. Honestly, a game changer. When we are writing, or when I'm writing my newsletters, I sometimes need more inspiration or ideas, so I just pretty easily type Command and K, and then I can read a couple of sentences to not get into this writing block. That's also one of the key features, and also one of the primary problems Kortex is solving. So, and a short explanation, I often use Readwise Reader. If anyone of you is familiar, great way of reading and connecting notes. And every note I do in Readwise Reader will be automatically kind of like sent into Kortex. And then when I'm writing on the next day, for example, I can get the information out of the second brain and get it into my writing. So then we have elements and linked notes. Linked notes is actually the same as Obsidian, and mostly we have a specific structure. Or when I write, for example, a newsletter, my next newsletter on Saturday is how do you get what you want out of life? And this one gets pretty in-depth. And for example, I just use similar to most of the other stuff, the structure of Dan for the writing, and this honestly changed my life. And this is all free in the community, which I will cover in a few minutes. And for example, let's look into my writing. When I have my writing here, how do you get what you want out of life? Here's the start. Starting a business is hard, blah, blah, blah. Then I have made a quote here. And then, for example, a lot of situations can be an element. So for example, this will be a social post. If we scroll down a bit later, I also have another element, which is concept. So a concept is the own way how I'm explaining something. Then there's also another element. So we can be really creative with the elements and ways and organizing actually our writing with that. And they can be created all by ourselves. So if you, for example, here, then we have the basics, the basic elements or sources. And we can also create folders, for example, or categories. I have a category, for example, on YouTube script, and then it's like example, introduce yourself, pros and cons, research strategy. This should just give us a bit more clarity and organization when writing, because when we're using Notion, for example, which is horrible for writing, it is really difficult to just look at it as like, okay, I know how it is structured. No, because it's just way too much text, and kind of like our brain is like, oh my God, that's way too much. And this actually gives us a bit simpler way of organizing our writing, and it's a great feature. I covered this for a really short moment because community and the free second brain course make it super simple to understand Kortex. And I feel like a lot of other apps like Notion, they all have these YouTube tutorials, which are great, but then actually explains perfectly how a second brain works and also how to use Kortex. And I think for a lot of beginners, this might be a really big game changer. So, and all of that stuff is actually for free, so why not using it, the free courses. And yeah, these guides helped me like in probably 2 or 3 weeks to understand everything in Kortex. And then once your brain is into the state of understanding how Kortex work, you start think differently. So now really shortly, I just want to jump into the pricing. So Kortex is entirely free. A lot of unlimited situations similar to Notion probably. And then there's the core and the premium. I'm into the premium just because I prefer the premium community course and I'm really value our options. There are few limitations we are facing in the free version, but honestly, for most people, the free version is fine. And if you're a bit more into the stuff, yeah, the premium is also really not that expensive. So coming to the key points, because I don't want to make the video too long because there's so many other options we can have in Kortex. So this is a really short introduction video, maybe giving you some inspiration. So coming to the conclusions and the key points, Kortex is great for writers, creators, and knowledge workers who probably read a lot, write a lot, what I'm currently doing. There are still a few bugs, and there's no app so far, so we all have that in a browser or on a browser app on the phone. Kortex has a great future roadmap, and also the AI integration is coming in a few days, so in December. And what is also really important and what really make a huge impact for me is the unique way of writing and working with Kortex, which provides a lot of value for a lot of people. I think if I would not started this course and everything in Kortex, I think my writing and content, especially my newsletter writing, wouldn't have changed that much. So I think just because of Kortex in the last 2 months, I've done more progress than an entire year of trying to create content on the internet, and especially the way of he's explaining how to actually write and gather the ideas in our head. Since I'm using Kortex, my thinking, writing, and storing ideas have changed significantly. So there's a big thank you to Dan and the Kortex team for making this possible, and I hope this video was a short and good introduction into Kortex. Yeah, so if you're interested to find out more, link to the challenge and newsletter is in the description below, and see you guys in my next video.